would really, 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 really love that if we would have men folk chime in on this convo. I really hope that the Mister chimes in on this important
Yes,
conversation.
Mister.
So, so if we have some men folk, as my sis just so eloquently, excuse me, tongue tied there a bit, put it. Please, men folk, comment. We want
What
to
is
hear
room
from
and folk? We want
men
to hear
folk.
from you.
We want to know how you feel about this topic. But I was just like, this is definitely something that we need to discuss and talk about, because I know for a fact that I'm still fighting to not give in to that fear of not being enough, because I hear myself saying it in some way every single day. Even when I'm trying not to, I'll catch myself like, okay, Sensei, bring it in. Like, but it's a very real feeling. And I want to make sure that we're addressing it in a way where people today or whoever watch this tomorrow or 2 weeks from now or whenever, because once it's out there, it's out there, it's out there,
Yep.
it's out there, girl. But that no matter what, that you get past it, and that you constantly work on it, and that that you're not alone in that. And I'm hoping that this conversation kind of helps support that, and then we could talk about how we could support each other in not having that not feeling enough feeling overcoming us, because it can easily do that if you let it. So
But we ain't
let's
gonna
do
let it.
we ain't gonna let it. We can't
We
let
are
it,
not
because
going to
then
let it.
we pass that down. So if we let it, then we pass it down to our kids and they let it. And it just keeps going and keep going, because the things that we pick ourselves apart about, we become hypercritical of our children about those things.
Yeah.
And then that causes trauma, right? Or we become so um, dissatisfied with ourselves that we're angry, we're bitter, we don't have any patience for anybody, we're constantly being unavailable emotionally and mentally for people, and then that causes trauma that cuts the people around us that love and care about us. So we need to talk about how, even though we're not doing it to hurt others, how being stuck in the feeling of not feeling enough gets passed down. But first, let's just talk about why we feel like that and how come it happens that we feel like that, and then hopefully validating that it's normal for you to feel like that, because I struggle with that still, like almost every single day. I wake up
I
and
think
there's
everybody does. I don't think
everybody.
there may be a single person on this planet that doesn't struggle with that in some way. Some people may be greater than others, but I think it's the same thing with the saying, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my, you know what I'm saying?
That's
Like
my motto right there.
it's that energy that's
Yeah.
like we are our own worst critic.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do something and other people like, man, that was amazing. And we'll be like, yeah, but I went up when I should have went down and I could have bop it bop. And it's that same energy of striving for perfection in every possible realm when there's no such thing. There's
Yeah.
no such thing. It's just the experience. It's just the journey. Everybody's trying to get to the end, but life isn't the end. Life is the process to the end. Y'all don't want the end. Then it's over.
Yeah.
So I think for me is I try to remind myself when I get to doing that to myself, because I do it too. So it's you are not alone.
I'm
And
trying to tell
whoever
you.
else out there who feels this way, I am here with you.
Oh, did
Okay.
you break out the MJ?
I
You
did,
don't
because you're
know.
not. And
Not
I am busy. Listen, I ain't gonna play with Sante on my post. If y'all follow me on Facebook, I put up a post today because I feel like COVID is turning me into a workaholic. It is. I was already a workaholic, but I had a little more balance back in the day
Mhm.
because, like, it was events, and at these events, I might be working, but I also be socializing. And I had my girls, and we would have our sister circle meetings, and we'd kick it there occasionally.
Right.
Kids would have play dates and whatnot. We'd take them out to different places. And like now, I'm like, I'm in the crib. COVID still out here. Ain't going nowhere. I see you on a Skype call. What you need? Yeah, I took it back to Skype. Like, not even Zoom. Like, And so now I'm like, dang, I'm starting to miss outside though, because all I'm doing is working. Like, all I'm doing is working. I'm not seeing my friends. They all mad at me. I'm like, I want to take my son out and have these experiences and go places, but it's like, I'm still iffy with him being around people. And I want to date, but it's like, what that look like with COVID. And
See, but you can't do that. You can't do that. And that's why I hopped on that post and was like, now, especially because every time we talk, when it's the two of us, you be like, sis, I need you to self care better because you be out
I
here
do.
doing
I
things
know
to
I need to
you,
do
and
self care better.
you be all over the place, and it's okay to take a break, and you have to make
I
sure
know I
you
be encouraging
prioritize
you.
self. And I be like,
I
you
be
right, because
encouraging.
I'm tired. Like, I could tell you tired. I could tell because you don't self care, and you got the woo da for that, and then you not doing the same thing.
I need to eat the pill. I need to
You
the pill I'm
do.
giving you. I need to take.
And
I
yes,
understand. I understand. I
mhm,
do. So I'm gonna step a big toe at that accordion every once in a while with being safe though, and start trying to figure out what fun and socializing is again. That's not work related because everybody mad at me. You should be seeing Dion. She be like, I want to talk to my friend right now. I don't want to talk to my business partner.
but it's true. It's true. You got to have those boundaries. And that also connects to how sometimes we're not feeling like enough because
But
if
that's
you,
my point. That's why I
right,
brought it up because I do so much and I'm always working. I feel like it's hard to balance. I feel like I'm doing a pretty decent job at balancing like work and being a mom and being an artist, but it's the me and a life part that's lacking. And then I also feel like I'm like, dig, I would like to spend more time with my son and do more things with him, but I'm always working. And I feel like that's all he sees, especially now that I work from home. All he sees me is working at home. So I'm like too busy for him most of the time because I'm working. And so like for me, that's where the not feeling enough comes in because it's like as a parent, I'm like, I want to spend more time with him. I want to do more, but I'm working, and I got to do that too. Because then I won't be enough in that aspect if I'm not. And then my social life is lacking, and my friends are like, yo, and I'm like, and I'm not enough there either. So it's like finding that balance of work time, me time, friend time, mom time.
and then hold on. So imagine how that feel for those of us that have multiple children. So I'm
Yeah,
really struggling because not only do I have to be enough for one, I have to be enough for two. And then I
yeah.
have a whole husband that I have to continue to pour into my marriage and cultivate. And I will be honest, that probably is one of the areas that I'm trying to do better at, that sometimes I struggle the most at, but not necessarily in what ways people may think. I think I have less patience for stuff. And so that isn't always fair to Robert because, like, if I'm not, it's not necessarily that what you did was big and grand. It's just that I'm already feeling overwhelmed and feeling not enough and feeling
So the
stressed.
fuse is
So
short.
then, like, when something that steps out of place is out of place, I'm just like, oh God, it's all falling apart. It's the end of the world. And he's like, chill out. It's just this or it's just that. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I have to be on top of everything because I'm so worried about dropping the ball on something and it just not getting done. And so that is probably one of my biggest issues. And then I struggle with feeling enough as an artist. So it's interesting to hear you say you pour into your artistry. Look, half the time when somebody call me an artist or a poet, I get so clammy by the hands and
But see,
uncomfortable.
you right. We were talking about this last week. Like you're constantly like creating, and that's pouring into your artistry. Even if you're not on stage performing it every weekend, you're still pouring. You
Here's the
taking the
thing.
time to
I
write.
accept that I'm pouring into it. I don't feel that I've earned the artistry title as of yet. And I feel like when someone coins you a artist, it's like you've been recognized. It's like a badge of honor. And I
But
feel like I
but see,
still
that's the
haven't
thing
gotten there
about
yet.
not feeling enough. That's the
That's
thing
the
right
thing.
there. It's like
Yeah,
you put that badge on you. You don't need
right.
someone else to say that woman is an artist for you to believe that you're an artist. Because clearly we didn't called you an artist and you ain't got it yet.
Look, I'm telling you, all I do
You
is
didn't print that
the
thing
first
on you
thing
12 times. You keep taking it off.
the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning is writing. It's the last thing I'm thinking about at night. All day, if I'm driving, I'm having little bitty pieces floating around in my mind,
Then baby, you
and
an
stuff. And it's
artist.
like, so, but when people say that, I'd be like, wait, but no, technically, I haven't really done a whole lot yet. I'm just getting out there. I'm just getting my feet out there. So I struggle with feeling enough, even though I may not always show it. So I'm a really good fake it till I make it kind of a person.
Sometimes you got to.
So I can be in any room and be intimidated as hell, and you
But you
would not
never
know it.
know.
You would not know it. I'm going to play off what strengths I do have, and I'm going to just float like I belong. But on
Make
the
it work.
inside, I'm screaming. I'm like, oh my God, someone's going to figure me out. They're going to notice that I'm not really supposed to be here. And then they're going to be like, get out of here.
Someone's not really supposed to be here. Which,
So
but nobody's gonna figure that out because you do supposed to be there.
and that's the whole point of the not feeling enough factor. Is like you just not, and part of that is, I will say the biggest part of it is what I'm speaking into myself. So I'll be quite honest about that. And one of the newest things that I'm trying to do after finally listening to the four agreements, so that you can stop and like, sis, you need to listen to it. So one of the takeaways I took from is really trying to say less. So I'm not trying to agree with myself. If you read the book or listen to the book, you'll understand what that means. So I'm not trying to hold the agreement where I'll be perfect in that all day, but if I can try to do it a little bit less, or if I can just recognize when I'm doing it, to just, to do it, to say, okay, you're doing it, say something else or speak something else into yourself. Make that agreement to speak it in a positive way and not be so negative. So that's one of the ways I'm trying to combat it. But it's a struggle like every day. And part of it is myself. It's the bigger part. I'll say it's about 60%. Then there's about 20% that has been at this point of still unlearning some of the things you are conditioned to learn as a kid growing up. If you have ever been in someone else's shadow, if you have done things and never felt like you were acknowledged for it, or nobody paid attention, or you didn't have certain things, that filters into that about 20%. And the last 20% is just about when you're out in the world, especially as a black woman and a prophet at that, you can be better than most and you still aren't enough. So you'll be trying to get acknowledged, you'll be trying to get promoted, you'll be trying to get all of these things. And people will say to you in private, like, yeah, 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 we appreciate blah, 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 blah. But you still aren't enough. And while you can say, well, that's just systemic stuff, like, that how they do us when we black. But the other party was like, well, maybe I just wasn't good enough. Like, maybe it wasn't me. Maybe this person was just better for the position, even when you know that shit ain't true.
That's that rationale foolishness.
Like that's the I'm not enough voice in the back, when even though logically you know good and well that that's not the truth. You feel so unsure of yourself that you'll say, okay, maybe I just wasn't enough. And I think all of us struggles with that at some point, especially when you're trying to be it enough.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and I want people to feel
But can we
validated.
take a moment within that to really think about what is enough? What is that? What
Mhm.
what does that really mean? And one thing that was said in the comment is that, art is subjective, therefore so is the title. And that's really the same thing with enough. Because enough and we all have to determine that for ourselves. And I think
Mhm.
the aspect of feeling not enough comes in two ways. One wave is society's wave of
Mhm.
pressures of enough. And I definitely would like some black men to chime in on this one, because I'm gonna speak for black men.
And I know it's some out there because I done waved at a couple in my little chat on whatchamacallit, because I really do. Like I said before we went live, I had this conversation with Robert prior to tonight, and was just like, this, I struggle with it all the time. Like, do you struggle with feeling enough? And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, really? Oh, how do you struggle with being enough? And so he was just sharing some of the ways in which he shares that he felt that he's not enough, and that every day he feels like he's just not doing enough. He's not big enough. And it's not because he doesn't believe that he could do those things. It's just frustrating because he hasn't done those things, and he knows that, it's part of that not feeling enough feeling. So
And so this is the thing. When I say it comes in two ways, I'm gonna break it down from my point of view. Me and y'all, let me know if I'm not doing y'all
no,
justice
come
or
on
not in
in,
the
'cause they
comments.
in here now. We got some
Come
people
on in the
watching.
comments, because I'm gonna say some stuff, and I want to make sure I'm not just throwing y'all out wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I ain't a man. But for women, I feel like in both aspects, it's society's point of view and standard of enough. But then there's also your personal standard of enough based on what you've seen and experienced in your life. I think the third step of that, which will be a healthy form of enough, is not society's aspect, is not what you created in your mind based on a piece of what society wanted, what your family wanted, what you thought you wanted when you was 3, and all that other stuff. But as whatever age you are right now, to sit down and look at your life and what you want to accomplish and who you want to be, and rewrite your standards of enough. That is the healthy way. That's what I think needs to happen. So here's the other two. For women specifically, because I'm black, I am a melanated person in America. Okay. That's a different enough, because they make it seem like black women are never enough, or accepted. Like our bodies aren't enough. If we too skinny,
And that's a real lie, because our bodies are enough, so much so that people are
people paying for it,
imitating our bodies.
paying big dollars for
So
it.
they definitely is enough. It's just they've convinced us to feel like it isn't.
Exactly. Because we're going off of, again, society's enough. Society, mainstream, and the people that's putting it out there enough is white people. Let's just be 100% honest. So when we say enough, our skin isn't ever going to be light enough, because we ain't white. Our hair ain't gonna never be straight enough, because that's not how it grows out of our head. You know what I'm saying? Our bodies, and even when it comes to being a woman, based on society mainstream and based on society in your hood or wherever you from, that can be two different conflicting things too. Because if you skinny, you're too skinny. You ain't got
See,
enough curves. And
let's
then if you
pause there
thick,
for a
you're
second.
too thick. You got too
We
much
gotta
curves.
pause there for a second, because I've been on both sides of the spectrum. So um I've been very skinny and was skinny shamed. So every time I ran across somebody, girl, do you eat? Or, it ain't cute to be that skinny. Or men like meat on some bones. Like you just bones and gristle. Like literally,
Disrespect.
it was always something, right? And then after I had my daughter and I got that evil Depo-Provera shot, no one should ever do that. Don't go there. Don't go there. Okay. I ended up getting
Come on, little
that
bit.
Depo.
Little booby committee.
Not anymore, yo. We used to be, but we ain't
I'm
no.
in that committee. I've been there. I
I
moved
used
in.
to
I
not
unpacked.
I had inositol, no ass at all at one point. Okay.
Not
I
just
wasn't flat. I wasn't flat, but I wasn't big. I
It was
wasn't
not, but like, there's
curvy.
a little curve back there when you look at it right.
Well, now
I'm
Now
talking
it's
about
a lot of curve back there. I wish it would curve away some a little bit. Like I wish we can kind
see,
of
that's
flatten
the
it.
enough.
But I was going there to say that I felt not enough when I was skinny. And then when I started to gain weight, I felt worse. It was just like, okay. So, what I've learned in that experience, and one of the things that really kind of helps me to deal with the struggle of not feeling enough is hell. Like you were saying to your point, what is actually enough? Like who am I trying to be enough for?
Come on.
What does enough even look like? And do I actually want to be that idea of enough?
And
What is enough
establishing
for
your
me?
own ideals of enough. What do I want? Not
Right.
with my mama, not with Shishi down the street, not with Ray Ray, not with President whoever. Not what do I want?
Yeah.
And I think that's the healthy way to determine enough. And then even again, making sure it's where you are right now with a clear mindset, determining what your goals are, what's healthy for you, and all of that is the safe way to do it. Because even your ideals of enough that's based on other people's perception and the things you grew up seeing can be wrong. Because that's another way that we fall into the trap of not feeling enough is when we base it off of all of those things, our parents and society and school and teachers and all of that. And we set these bars that are super high for ourselves. And not saying that you shouldn't set high bars, because my enough that I've consciously sat down and thought out is pretty high. Okay. Listen. But if you don't achieve those things in a certain amount of time or in a time period or in a time frame you thought you would, then you feel like you're not enough. And that's a problem. Not saying don't set them bars high. Not saying if you don't achieve it in X, Y, and Z that you shouldn't rearrange some thinking or whatever. But we can't feel like failures when we don't hit every single height that we set in our minds to hit, because life is different. Situations is different, society is different. All of these things play a factor in us achieving those goals. It's like aim for the shoot for the moon, and if you fail you still landing on the cloud. You know what I'm saying? It's like
We're not
that.
doing no clouds or marshmallow pits.
No clouds or marshmallow man.
No clouds or marshmallow.
Shit. But
I
one thing is that we can set bars and examples and things in our minds so set in stone, and especially when we set time periods to it, that if we don't do it in that set amount of time, then we feel like failure. Some people do it with marriage. I need to be married by the time I'm 30. If I ain't married by the time I'm 30, then what is life?
Here's the thing though, even to that point, I feel like once you set this high bar,
Mm-hmm.
and most people that even reach that still don't be happy. They still don't feel enough. And I think what we don't talk about when it comes to the enough factor is that if you're looking at it in respect to having certain things, it's
Things and
never
stuff ain't
going to
gonna never
feel
do
that
it.
way because there's
But
going to
always
always
want
be
more things
something
and
else.
stuff.
There's going to always be something else where you like, because the goalpost changes, right? So
Yeah.
what the goalposts look like for us now versus what it looked like back when our parents were kids and back when their parents were kids is
Yeah.
completely different.
They
So
couldn't even imagine where we
they
are right
couldn't even
now.
imagine where we are and what life and society is like for us. So because when you know that the goalpost is going to change, not just generationally, but every day there's something else new that's being added to your mind that this is what you should want to have. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to reframe what being enough looks like, because even when people get all of the stuff that they put into fruition or manifested and they reached all of these things, then they still be like, I still don't have enough. I still don't have enough and I still ain't enough. And some of them still be depressed or not happy or not fulfilled. And I
Like when celebrities commit suicide, like when Robert Williams,
mhm,
everybody loved Robert. He done made everybody laugh at some point in their life, unless you was born later and ain't got no culture. Okay, nah.
not
JK
no
y'all,
culture.
JK y'all. But I mean, Mrs. Doubtfire, Jumanji, like all the greats Robert Williams have played in, and he was the funny guy. He was the one to make everybody laugh. He was successful. He had the family. He had the money. He had the career. and he committed suicide, and nobody saw it coming. You know what I'm saying? And so when I also say sit down in the right frame of mind and think that thing through on what enough is for you and what kind of life you want to live, please do not let that be only monetary things or outside things. We have to search within. Enough comes from within. Yes, we can have goals that we want to achieve and accomplish. You know, I'm gonna open businesses, I'm gonna have storefronts, I'm gonna have bop, 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 bop. Absolutely. But all of that honestly comes second to who I want to be, not what I want to achieve financially, but who I want to be, what kind of person I want to be, and what kind of person I want to be and lineage and legacy I want to leave comes from all within. And then that goes into my businesses and whatever else I'm going to do. So we have to look within, and going back to the 4 agreements, since you brought it up this time, I ain't even knew it this time.
I was just trying to let you know I'm there with you now, so I know what it was talking about with the book. And it really was a very enlightening book. Now, me being the behaviorist, me being the psychologist that I am, I don't quite agree with every single thing. I think that there's a real important thing about balance, and that is where I want to feel the most enough at, is just finding balance. And recognizing that I'm not going to be enough for everything at the same time, that I need to prioritize what to be enough for today, so what to be enough for tomorrow. Because when you're looking at it in terms of the big thing of all the things you need to be enough for, of course it's going to feel impossible. You're never going to feel like it's enough. So what I'm trying to redo and rethink and reimagine is, what do I need to be enough for in this moment? So everything else is secondary. It can wait, because maybe I got something big coming up at work, and I'm going to need to be enough for that today, where I get this done appropriately and get it done well. But just like yesterday or the day before yesterday, I'm in here typing away on my computer doing work, and my baby came in here and said, I need a hug. And I said, I need to be enough for her right now. So work, I can't be enough for right now. So it had to go, And so when Robert comes home, if he had a rough day or we just missed each other, so in that moment, I need to be enough for my husband. I need to be enough for him. So I'm trying to really look at it in those
and at other moments, you need to be enough for your damn self.
Oh, who you trying to tell me that? After we just had that
I'm telling us that.
Oh, I'm gonna say, because
I'm telling us that.
Oh, okay. And I want you to know that I am taking that so close to heart, because I almost didn't do something I needed to do for myself this weekend, and I was like, oh hell no. You know what? I need to be enough for myself today. Everything, look, y'all. I need to be enough for me today.
Let's reframe enough. Because the pressure, let me tell y'all something. Stress is the number one killer in America. It might be heart disease on the paper. It may be all these other things on the paper. But stress causes ailments. Stress causes disease. Okay? High blood pressure, all of that. Heart attacks, strokes, all of it comes from stress. And poor diets and other things, but stress. Okay.
Poor diet stuff.
So if we're not gonna go there, but if we are really being serious with ourselves, we are doing anything but stressing ourselves out, trying to put ourselves under this unrealistic pressure. If you keep adding pressure on something, it's gonna break. It's gonna bend. It's gonna fold. So I think we have to rethink about enough. So I love what you said about being enough in this moment. What do I need to be enough for? Because sometimes when I start to be like, I need to do this, I didn't do this, blah, blah, blah. I be like,
gotta breathe.
It's either gonna get done or it's not. It's either gonna get done right now or later. Either way, I'm not going to kill myself right now nor later to get some work done
because let me tell you, because if you do that, you ain't gonna be enough for nothing or nobody.
For nothing. No one. Nothing.
That's it.
You ain't gonna be here.
It's not gonna be enough of nothing if you let it take you there. And we really have to be mindful of that because, like, to the point I was making about my patience, when I'm not feeling enough, I'm can be cruel, not intentionally, but I am. When I'm not feeling
Oh
enough,
man,
I'm
your
not
like patience
approachable.
be
Ooh, listen,
thin. It be
I,
like
look,
that's your
I'm gonna be
patience.
honest. I'm be honest, and I hope he don't
Nah,
take this and run with it. I don't be knowing how dude in here be dealing with me some days. Like, he loved me. He loved me legitly. Like he was really loved me because
come on, Robert.
I got the
Do
look
you
too.
have friends?
He just looked up. He just looked over here at me like, huh? Because I'll be like, when I don't feel like enough, I am not a nice person. Not that I'm going around like, I've
Flipping
barked a lot.
tables.
I don't flip tables, but I'm just real. I don't have no patience to be like, it's like just everything. I just need to be quiet. Just don't talk to me. Like nobody talk to me
You
right
be
now.
a
I
little
just need,
uptight,
just
little
need,
wound up,
just need a
sis.
minute. Just need a minute.
Little
And,
wound up.
and he be real calm. He be real just okay, baby, come. Let me give you a hug. Let me sit with you. But I'll be like, look, if I had to deal with me in that moment, both of us would be on the news because we're about to spread.
On the news.
So I'm grateful for a mate that balances me out in that
God, you
department.
good, ain't it?
Look, I'll be like, I don't be knowing, but that really is one of the real important reasons why we have to be not so hard on ourselves about being enough because then when we're so fixated on that, who are we hurting around us? Because really what we're feeling is we're feeling shame, we're feeling inadequacy, and we know inadequacy in anything is a pride killer. Okay, it will knock you on your ass. And so
And
when we're
pride is
feeling in
something
that
else.
look, and when we're in that space, who's getting us and is it the best version of us, even our children. And so when they're seeing us,
Especially our children. In
oh
my
goodness, and that's something that I really, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation and make the connection to it being generational, is because when we're not enough, we're projecting that onto our offspring. And so then they're listening at the ways that we don't feel enough. So then if they don't accomplish those things or if they're not doing those things, then guess what they don't think about themselves? Then I'm not enough. It's just like when I hate to hear a parent talk about another parent in a negative way to a kid, especially
That's
if that
trifling,
kid
in my
is,
opinion.
especially if that child is the same gender. So if you're talking to your son about his father and you're talking about him in respect of men this, men that, that baby is going to grow up and not feel enough because even if he didn't do the things to you that his father did, he's a man and he's going to see himself as in his father's
Because
image.
you said men
And
this
so
and
the
men
things, exactly. So when you're saying those things, then they're going to internalize that. And that's how they're going to see their own reflections. And that gets passed down and down. So when we're not
Oh,
feeling
oh, go ahead. Go
enough,
ahead.
I was just going to say, when we're not feeling enough, and we're talking about ourselves like that. Like I have to catch myself when I'm not feeling enough, not saying certain things out loud. Like if I'm picking myself apart about how I look that day. Because my kids are a product of me. So they may have a particular feature that I have that I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I don't particularly like. And they hear that and then they think I'm not supposed to like that about me. And if I have that, it's wrong and I shouldn't feel pride in that. And so we perpetuate and we pass down, just like energy is transferred, that negative thought is transferred into our babies. When we're feeling not enough,
Because
we,
it's an energy.
it's an energy. We unconsciously tell them that they're not enough either. And so then they start to pick themselves apart and it just goes on and on. It's just a
And
cycle.
it's super detrimental coming from a parent because they look up to us and idolize us. We're basically our children's world until they hit a certain age. you know? And what I was going to say, was when it comes to men, I didn't go down that road I was going to, but then I stopped. When it comes to the men folk, and I was like, y'all let me know if I say this wrong or not, is with women, I was saying society's pressure of what it looks like, what we should be, what we shouldn't, and specifically Black women, what our hair should look like, what it shouldn't look like, what our body type should look like, what we should wear and what we shouldn't wear based on our body types, and all types of other things.
Right.
And for Black women, it's like the pressures of the world, because we damn near literally have to be superwoman and hold
You
families down, hold
do have to be
communities
superwoman.
down, educate, like run businesses, cook dinner, pay the bill, like everything. And then I feel like for men, they have the pressures of society telling them that they're less than. For Black men specifically, let me clarify that they're less than, that they're drug dealers and criminals,
Mm.
from the time that they're children until adulthood. That from women, that they ain't nothing, that most men is dogs, this, that, and the third. And they're growing up with this type of knowledge or lack thereof being spewed at them. And then on top of that, just the pressures of being a man, having to provide for a family, having to be a father. And some of them, many of them didn't have a father as a role model to look up
Mhm.
to and learn from. And all of those different things. And that's a different type of pressure that women could hear, and we may be able to understand, but not fully from a male's perspective, because there's a lot of women holding down households and raising kids. But for a man, having to do all of that, having the society and women's notion of, a good man, and what does that look like, what are the roles and characteristics of a good man, and am I living up to being this good man,
Mhm.
or am I a dog, or am I this? And it's so, men, y'all, again, in the comments, let me know I ain't no man, but this is what I'm gathering from researching conversations, and knowing and seeing.
And pause there. If we do have male listeners out there, I really want to encourage you guys at this time, if you feel comfortable, because remember, this is a safe space. Nat and I love you regardless. I learned from y'all, and so I need us to be completely honest, because I think that sometimes when we as women are feeling like we're not enough and we're struggling so much with that, we have it in our minds that men don't struggle with that too, and we stop seeing that maybe they're struggling for it as well, and maybe they're not showing up for us in the way we need them to show up for us because they are struggling with not feeling enough. And
Absolutely.
that's not to give a pass, that's not to excuse when there are
Relevant.
wrongdoings for it. It's just the reality. When any of us, just like I said, I don't know how this man deal with me when I'm in that space of not feeling enough, because I'm not my best self when I don't feel enough, and I know I'm not my best self when I don't feel that way, or I'm struggling, and so I have to be mindful of that so that I'm not bleeding on him because of something I'm feeling internally. It don't always be something that somebody did to me or said to me to make me feel like I'm not enough. It's internal. So just imagine how many of our fellow men out there are struggling with not feeling enough and want to be enough, but just don't feel like, I'm never going to get there, or I'm never going to reach this. And what type of things haven't, influenced that. So if you feel comfortable, please drop in the chats ways that you don't feel enough. What kind of pressures as a man do you feel like people in society don't hear from you about struggles of not feeling enough? Because I don't think we hear it enough from
And then you
y'all.
also have the struggles of men with being manly enough, that toxic
That
masculinity thing. It's like, oh, somebody put on their status the other day that if he was eating or drinking on a boat or something, and they was like, oh, and call him miss, and he was like, so if I'm not wearing a flannel and chopping wood, I can't do nothing else, like, or it's feminine. He like, I don't understand. And I thought that was so real, because that's the thing men have to go through from a very early age of, like, being manly, and the things
Mhm.
that men do, and what's feminine and what's masculine. And we had this conversation on the show before about how it's a balance of both. We all have men, masculine, feminine energy, and you have to find your balance within both, or you toxic. Okay, let's just say that. So that's a pressure that I know men have as well. But then also, women are more likely to talk about the pressures. Not saying they all do, but are more likely to talk about them feeling not enough with they mom or their sisters or friends or whatever. And men don't necessarily have, I feel like, most or a lot, in my opinion, y'all let me know if I'm wrong, men have that safe space to be go to their homies and be like, look dog, I ain't feeling enough today. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm
They
coming up
don't
to
have
something.
that space. And even though they feel it, they don't share that amongst each other. And I think it's unfortunate and it makes me sad because they need to. They need to
They
be able to
need
say
to.
that. And if they can't say that to them, they need to have a safe place to say it to us. And that's something
Mhm.
that when I was talking to Robert about this and I asked him about one of the things that he doesn't feel enough about. And one of them was about saying the wrong things as a father, like as a parent. I'm a hyper communicator. So I have an easier time of talking to the kids about certain things. He be worried about saying the wrong thing. And he's like, I'm quiet when we're having conversations with the kids, not because I'm not present, but because you're doing what needs to be done. And I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm not really sure how to express what I'm thinking, and it can come out very wrong. And so having him give that perspective was just like, it was a big food for thought for me, because at sometimes I might be internalizing that he's quiet and thinking like he's not present and he doesn't care with what's going on. But really, it's just like, I don't want to mess this up. Like,
But having that conversation is important, and this is why communication is so important. Um, because you would have went on a whole tangent with that, like just
oh,
thinking we didn't care or whatever.
I'm gonna be
If we
honest.
don't
I
express these
absolutely
things,
have. I have gotten flat out
that's
angry,
natural.
went
That's
all the way
human.
off. Like, you
That's
are
the way our
not
minds
present.
work.
And so when he was able to express to me, like, it's not that I'm nonchalant. It's not that I'm indifferent or I'm not present. I'm afraid to say the wrong thing because I may not mean something a particular way, but I don't feel like I'm going to always express it where they hear me what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say. And having him come from that place, really, 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 now I look at it different. So now if we're, having a moment like that, I don't feel as like concerned. I'm like, okay, maybe he has more thought. And what I need to be saying is, why don't we talk about this before I bring the kids in? And then you can kind of tell me where your thoughts are, and then we can have this conversation together along with the kids. So I've tried to redo how that happens and not just putting him on the spot, because everybody doesn't communicate the same. See, I'm very quick with communication, but everybody's not like that. And I need to recognize that it's not that he doesn't care, it's that he does care and he's just kind of struggling to find the right words. And I shouldn't punish him for that or be angry at him for that. Maybe I need to rethink how we approach this as a team. So now I'll be like, hey, so and so, this came up, and we're gonna have to talk to the kids about it. Like, let us have that conversation first. What are your thoughts? Well, how do you feel about it? Okay, maybe approach, maybe say that. I think that they need to hear that from you. So I think that it's super important that we take that into consideration as well, because men struggle with that. I think a lot of men struggle when with saying the right thing. They want to say the right thing, not just as a father, but as a mate. They want to be honest, and we
And
cannot.
it is that pressure of
It's a
not
lot of
wanting to say the
pressure.
wrong thing in front of a woman. Because let's be honest, some of us are sensitive,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So it's like, dang, what do I say right now?
I can be a little sensitive. Hmm.
And that's a pressure as well of not feeling like I'm enough, because it's like I want to say something, but dang, I don't want to get cussed out either, or I don't want to turn the situation, or. And I think the best thing about what you just said, like the whole story, is him being reflective enough and understanding of himself enough to say, look, babe, in this situation is really this. It may look like this, but it's this, which can put your mind at ease and put you all on a whole different level, so you can adjust and move accordingly to make it the best situation for everyone. And I think that is so important, because we all need to do that in every relationship. I'm talking about parent, child, marriages, friendships, business partners, whatever it is to say, okay, it's like we talked about this before, knowing your triggers. If you know your triggers, you can come into the situation and say, hey, I'll respond this way to this, just let you know at the door.
No, look, this is okay. This is a boundary for me.
Right.
I'm
I'm letting
comfortable
you
with
know at
this.
the
Okay.
door. So that if you feel some type of way, don't go this way because I'm letting you know I'm gonna go this way.
Right.
So we may need to work another situation out or whatever it may be. So that it can be about progression, it can be about moving forward and not about conflict. And
Right.
and I feel like we gotta do that eternally too, because that not feeling enough is the conflict. So sitting with self enough to look at trauma, to look at past situations that made you not feel enough, and to rationalize with yourself and say, okay, because of this, I don't feel like I'm enough at this. And that's hard to do. I ain't saying it like it's easy. You gotta go back to some deep places to figure these things out.
Right.
But when you do that, you can move differently, and not only relationships, definitely in relationships though, but in your life. And you, this is, I feel like that's how the beginning steps to break down the not feeling enough. And again, I feel like everybody goes through it or going to go through it in some level, but it'll lower the level, will be less heightened when you start analyzing these things. So you can say, all right, this is what's causing me not to feel enough in this. I remember this moment in third grade when this teacher said this to me, and it made me feel like I was not enough. From that moment forth, I did the most so that I could be enough, or whatever that situation is for you. But we have to sit still long enough and go deep long enough to find those places to help heal those because most of our wounds happened in childhood that
They
led
do.
to adulthood trauma. So we have to heal our inner child to truly be able to live our best lives as adults, because if not, those past traumas, those past hurts are going to keep rearing their ugly little heads until we grab a comb and straighten out them kinks. Okay.
And I think even as an adulthood, even though most of that trauma we do inherit when we're kids, or we get, or it injures us as children, we have moments as in adulthood that reinforces that at times too. So
Mm-hmm.
when we
Mm-hmm.
already are struggling with kids, or just I know on the healing journey for myself, and looking back and picking apart the things that have influenced my behaviors or influenced the things that I was doing that was detrimental to myself or others, I was still, finding at times that something was happening to reinforce that. So it was like, okay, for example, one of the things that I struggled with as a kid was just being too nice, being too trusting, just wanting to be liked and wanting to be appreciated. And so when you're that person and you come from that, a lot of people take that as you being naive and gullible and easy to take over, take advantage of. And so as an adulthood, it don't change. So when you adults and you dealing with other adults and they do that, your natural reaction is to revert back to, even knowing as a healing person, I am not responsible for what others do. And it's not that me being the person that was wrong, it was what that person did was wrong. And then probably has nothing, the reason they did me like that don't got nothing to do with me. And I need to just
That's the four agreements.
let it go. And that was one of the things that when I heard in the book, I was like, yeah, I agree with this, because I've already been approaching life like that. Like I need to
Mm-hmm.
stop. Um, well, it uses in the book taking things personally. But
Mm-hmm.
for prior to hearing the book, I was always looking at it like that person done had some sort of trauma that don't got nothing to do with me, and I need to recognize that that's why they're acting or treating me that way. It doesn't mean I'm accepting it and it's okay. It just means that it makes sense that they will react or behave in that way.
And that's when I say, and I've said it on the show in the past, that's not my bag. That's not
Mm-hmm.
my bag. I'm not picking that bag up. It's like you see a bag at the airport, you go the other way. You tell somebody, but that's not your bag.
Like,
You don't
excuse
pick it
me,
up.
somebody
You,
that left their feelings here. I don't know if what is in it. I
you
don't know what the
don't need
contents
to
are, but somebody needs to
manage
come and
your
pick it up.
feelings. Don't leave no pieces. Okay, like come get those.
Like, hold
That's
on now.
not mine.
When you show up in the morning, be like, did anyone ask you to hold any feelings for them today that you didn't know about, that you didn't recognize? Like
Did
none of that.
somebody
I always
sneak
say
some feelings in your pocket and you walked out with them? Because sometimes that happens.
that. Yeah,
Feelings just
it
be
happens.
attached to you and you get to act
It's
in some kind of way and don't know why. Get the sage. That's not yours. All right, give it back. Keep
that,
your bag. That's not mine. And
that's
I
a
think that's the
t-shirt,
thing
sis. That
too.
that's a whole shirt. That's a whole shirt. Hey. That bag of feelings ain't mine. It's not
That
my
ain't
bag.
mine. That's not my bag, and I'm not holding it. I'm not even picking it up. You get that. Okay?
Fact.
That's yours. And I think that's the thing too, is we as humans, we want to be liked. You know what I'm saying? We want to get along with people. It's a new wave that just try to fight everybody, but we gonna heal them too.
We
Okay?
gonna we gonna heal
We
them
working
too.
on that too, because that's trauma. That ain't just how they want to be. That's trauma. But the main thing is like you can't save everybody. And if someone comes with energy that's not yours, you ain't did nothing to them, but they rolling their eyes at you, that ain't got nothing to do with you. You ain't
No.
got to try to clap back. You ain't got to try to cuss nobody out. That ain't got nothing to do with you. All right, you be blessed. All
Have
right,
a
I'm
good
going to go
day.
about my day.
Peace. Deuces. This not my bag.
It's not my bag. I refuse to pick it up. Like, and that's how we really have to look at it. Even things that we think, especially when we kids, oh, everything in this
Mhm.
world and personal when we children. We got to teach this to our children early. Teach the 4 agreements to your babies from pre-K up, okay, from womb up. Be reading it to the in the womb, cause these the roots of like darn near all evil on the planet is people not taking their words seriously enough, or not being impeccable with their words, taking stuff personally that ain't got nothing to do with them. Like all of these things is literally why we have conflict in the world. So if we teach our children, literally train it to them, just like ABC, on how to not do these things, on how to be impeccable with their words, and how to implement these things in their life, we can truly shift the dynamic of things and the way that things are going, because our children are the future. So if we train them up in a way that we want them to go, isn't that the saying? Train you? No, is that the saying or no? Like if we
Yeah.
actually do that, then we can really create shifts within the world, and not only teaching them, but teaching ourselves these things so that we can create the shifts and the change that we want to see. And it also goes back to that not feeling enough. Because if we teach these things, a lot of the things that make us feel like we aren't enough happen because of the things, again, y'all read the 4 agreements. That was in the 4 agreements. We took something personally that had nothing to do with us, but now and we about 50 years old and it's still in us. Somebody didn't like us when we was kids. And we thought we weren't enough because of that. And now we 60 and we still feeling them same feels and moving a certain way because of it.
But here's the thing, though. I might not have been enough for that person.
But you got to be enough for
I may
you.
not have been enough for them, and that's fine. I don't have to be enough for everybody. I'm
We talked
not.
about this last week.
Look, it's perfectly okay if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
I am not going to be enough for everyone. I
And you're
am,
not supposed to
and
be.
I'm not supposed to be. And that's where it goes back to what I was saying, is that I need to prioritize what and whom I need to be enough for, where it matters for me to be enough at. I
Yes.
need to be enough for these areas. And I'm here to tell you, my top 5 ain't even my damn job at this point that I need to be enough for. I
Come
need to
on.
be enough for my household, okay? I need to be enough for me. I need to be enough for my loved ones that are closest to me, that includes
Come on.
friends and family.
Come on.
And I may not be enough for all of them at the same damn time.
You can't be.
Somebody look,
It's a lot of them.
it was a I can't it's a shirt that I've seen ways ago where it was like, hey, I can't be enough for you today. It's not your time. Pick a number. Tomorrow ain't looking good for you either. You know, it's and that may be the case.
Maybe
Like
I can pencil you in somewhere next week.
I may can't be enough for you tomorrow. But the ones that are non-negotiable, though, the very tippy top is this husband, these kids, and this Sante.
And know that that's like you said, moment to moment, because at any point you may not be enough for them in those moments either.
And sometimes I'm gonna say that I can't be, because then that's when I need to be enough for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But where I've gotten to the point in
First.
understanding with these babies is when, just the other day one of them was asking me for something, and I was in the middle of doing something, and they came back like 2 minutes later and asked again, and I said, excuse me, is it urgent? Are you bleeding? Like, no. I said, then it can wait. Do you not see that I'm busy? I'm sorry, I just really want. I said, oh, your wants and what I'm doing now does not come first. Like, you can wait. Now, sometimes I prioritize what you want above other things. But in this moment, it's not urgent.
Was it last night?
You can wait. No, it wasn't last night.
Because I had a similar talk with my 3-year-old last night.
I'm trying to, it was definitely this week. And I was just like, I'm sitting here knee high in an email. Just, and it was
Yeah.
like, it was nothing important. Some apples or some stuff. I was like, excuse me. Are you bleeding? No. Are you injured? No. Is it something that must be tended to in this moment? Because right now I'm being enough here. I need to be enough in this. That can wait. And we really honestly need to prioritize where we need to be enough from, because it's when we're trying to be enough for everything all the time
That's
that
where the
we
stress
feel the
comes in.
most, but we feel the most inadequate. We feel the most not enough.
Because you
We're
can
not
never be
supposed to be.
everything for everyone at one time. And
We're
oh, let
not
me say this
supposed
word
to
because it
be.
just popped in my head. Oh God, with my tambourine.
Oh Lord,
Um,
did you bring it this time? Is it with
it's over
you?
there. It's too far right now. But oh God, this word. It ain't original. Y'all probably done heard it before, but it was perfect in this moment.
Go
Not
ahead, let's
only,
hear.
not only can you never be enough for everybody at the same time, but you can never be
No
enough for the wrong person.
facts,
Let me say this.
facts,
Let me say this.
facts.
I've been there. That's why I said my spirit's so heavy right now. That's why I'm shouting on the inside. Okay. I know some of y'all done probably been there. Y'all done tried to be enough for the wrong person, but you will never be enough. You'll never be right for the wrong person. Stop that. Stop that. Walk away. If you stressing yourself out finna kill yourself trying to be enough, trying to look enough, trying to act enough, trying to dress enough, trying to primp enough, or whatever it is, be thug enough for my brothers out there trying to make enough bankroll enough, whatever enough to please somebody else, baby, they're not the right person. Now, don't get me wrong. Especially in men's case, you found the right woman that's gonna make you get up and go about yourself. But if that's what you really want to do, choose to do, and it's push you to be your best self, then by golly, that might be the one. But if you have to shift your morals, if you have to shift who you are foundationally, who you want to be, and try to be someone you're not for someone else, then you don't be enough. You ain't gonna never be enough for that person because that's not your person. Just like we said earlier, you're not gonna be enough for everybody.
And furthermore, there'll be signs that you're not enough for that person, and you need to listen to those signs and not think that you're going to change what that person needs, instead of the fact that even if you changed you still wouldn't be enough, because you're not what they truly and utterly want. And
And
I
that's
urge
okay.
everybody to love yourself enough
Enough. Come on,
to
come
walk
on.
away from that.
I don't
Like,
have my tambourine in the clap.
there has been a time or five, okay, where I have literally said to my husband, listen, if I ever am not enough, if I ever become not what you need, I
Come
am
on,
not egotistical
come
to
on,
the point where I'm going to try and force it on you. You
come
can
on.
tell me, and I'm going to understand that, because I just may not do it for you anymore. And that doesn't mean that I'm not enough for anyone or even period. It just means that I'm not what you need. And that's okay for me. And I think that we all need to have that agreement, even though that wasn't in the book, with ourselves.
That's the fifth agreement.
Listen, you got to be willing to agree with yourself, not to force, you on someone, because really, even that stems from your feeling of not being enough. You're trying to get that person to validate you. You're
Because if
trying to
you
get that
truly
person
feel
to see
enough with who you are and
you
where
gonna
you
walk
are
away.
within yourself, you won't try to bend to fit somebody else's vision of
Fact.
you or their life or anything else. If it's not matching, if it's not equally yoked, if it's not, then you need to walk away and let that person find whoever they need and meant to find, and you go find the right one that's meant for you. You don't have to try to be someone else. And I've been preaching this since I was a whippersnapper before I read any of these books I've read at this point. If you truly be yourself and be okay with being yourself and living in that truth, the people who are meant to be around you, with you, will find you, and you won't have to work as hard, laugh, or compromise yourself to try to fit in or be with other people. I've been saying that for years, and I still say it to this day because it's fact. I've lived it. I know it to be true. All you have to do is get comfortable with who you are and the life you want to live, and everything else will fall into place when you start walking in your purpose and in your alignment and not somebody else's.
I want to address a couple of these comments in here from Emmanuel, and the first one that I noticed because I got away from sharing the comments, and um, is that he was bringing, I guess, a point up about when it comes to children that they should not share the priority of their parents. And I think that that's not true. I think that there's balance with how we prioritize our children. Um, when you have children, you do need to make sure that they are a priority in certain aspects. It shouldn't be at the detriment to yourself because if you're not whole and you're not healthy and you're not well, you can't help anybody. It
Absolutely.
shouldn't be to the detriment of your marriage if you have a marriage. It shouldn't be at the detriment to your marriage. Those things should take priority. However, when you decide to be a parent to children, you take on a responsibility. And the goal is to make sure that you teach them balance and that they don't feel entitled. And that doesn't come from prioritizing them, it comes from how you prioritize them. Just like I brought up the example about my kid needing something in that moment, and I had to say, pause. I don't get up at your beck and call,
Mm-hmm.
especially that you are of able body age to fend for yourself with certain things. If I am busy and it's something that doesn't have to be done in that moment, you are going to have to wait. And so when it comes to stuff like that, teaching them and making sure that they understand that they don't control the world, doesn't stop and pause on their need and their word is important. And that's how you have to make sure when you're prioritizing them, you're not teaching them that is that the rest of the world and everyone else is, at their beck and call, at their word, and
That's
that's not
balance.
balance. But you want to let them know that they matter and that they take priority in your life. My kids don't come before no. My kids don't come after a job. There will be no job on this planet because jobs are replaceable.
And they
That
will replace
even with it being necessary to provide, will take precedent before my children ever. There's not no way, and I let every single employer that I have know that if it's between you and my kids, it's gonna be my kids without a doubt, without a question. I've done it before, and I've never ever plan on not doing it. It will always be that they come first. Now, has that put strain in other areas and has that caused stress? Absolutely. But on the same respect, my job is to raise healthy human adults because I'm going to send these people out into the world. So where I don't show them where my priorities lie, where they matter, someone else is going to show that and exploit them for it. So I
it.
need to make sure that I'm teaching them that, listen, the world ain't your servant, and it's not going to come to you when you call, but you do matter in it still. So it's that
Mm-hmm.
balance. And then the other thing I noticed of the comment that he had is that talking about having the foundation and shifting who you are and having that foundation be good first. And so, if you have a good foundation, that you would need to have those shifts and stuff. And yes, healing requires change, and there will be pressure, sometimes pain. Don't fool yourself if you need to change. And I agree. When we're talking
Yep.
about situations where you're not enough for someone in a relationship, we're talking about the fact that someone's always picking you apart when you're trying to make change. If you notice that you're falling short at something and you could be a better person at something, it is your responsibility to be that better person. It's
Absolutely.
not
Nobody
about
else.
that person, it's about you. Because at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, whether you with that person or not, you should want to be the best representative of yourself. So if there's something
Absolutely.
that you're doing that's I'm willing to bet you if there's something that someone's telling you is hindering them and it's valid, it's hindering you in other aspects of your life too.
Absolutely.
So it's not just the hindrance in your contact or your relationship with that person, it's hindering you in your professional work. It's healing you in your self-care work. It's healing, it's affecting you in your parenthood. It's doing all of those things. It's not just affecting this one relationship, it's affecting all your relationships. So if you need to change and it's a valid change that needs to be made, you should be making that change for you so you can
Mm-hmm.
be the best you and not for trying to be enough for someone else. If you are enough for that someone else, when you make that change, you will also be enough for them. You will be they will benefit from that change is what I'm trying to say. They'll benefit from you doing better, but you should be the ultimate benefactor in your changes to yourself. Even as a married woman, if it's something that my husband comes to me and says he needs me to change, then it's probably something I need to work on to be a better Sante because I know who I married and he's going to tell me something out of concern or care and vice versa. So I want to change those so I can be the best me because it probably don't just affect me in these walls, it affects me outside too. So I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead, Nat. You wanted to say something?
I think to his points, both of those go with balance for me. Both of them. So when it comes with the child, should they be priority over your husband? Situational. I wouldn't say
Depends, right?
right. I wouldn't say absolutely not because it may be some situations where that may have to be a thing. It's situational, but everything in balance. If you don't show your children that they matter or that they can or will or should be prioritized, then they're going to let the world walk all over them. They're
Mm,
not going to want to be or feel the need to be or think they should be. There goes the feeling not enough again. Prioritized in relationships, at work, they won't be able to stand up for themselves in those situations and they won't even see the need to be prioritized because they don't even know it's a thing. And what we show our children is important. That's like men who take their daughters out on dates, daddy daughter dates, or show their mothers love specifically in front of their daughters, bring them flowers, open doors, pull out chairs. They do specific things in front of their children to have those type of conversations as well with their daughters or do these things in front of their daughters. So they're showing their daughter that this is what you deserve. This is how you should be treated. I ain't had that. My daddy wasn't there. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I was gonna say something that wasn't appropriate. But you know,
it was
there,
was
there
it
are,
nasty? Or
huh?
was it? You said you were finna say what that was inappropriate. Was it truth?
It was truth. I was gonna say he ain't, but that ain't necessarily true because he is something.
Okay,
Um,
well then, yeah, this is a safe space, so we gonna move it right along.
but men who do that, they are doing that consciously and sometimes subconsciously, showing their daughters that this is how a man should treat you, right? And just like we talked about the opposite of that, women who be like, man, men ain't ish, da ba da ba da ba da, consciously or subconsciously, they're telling their girls, if they're saying it in front of their girls, that they shouldn't trust me and men ain't nothing, or if they're doing it to their boys or in front of their boys, that they ain't nothing and they ain't gonna be nothing. So
Oh,
it's the
I
same
got into
thing.
a whole somebody's comment box about this bit, and we are gonna do a show about that just to kind of jump really quick. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little off the subject, but super important. With that point, is that that's a huge reason why a lot of women grow up to feel like men aren't going to be enough. And so I had come across a post of one of my Facebook friends posted that he is raising his daughters to never need to depend on a man. And it's super important that they know how to fend for themselves and provide for themselves. And that was also something super important that the men in my life wanted me to have was that ability to survive on my own. They didn't want me to it was important that I realized that I shouldn't have to survive on my own, but they wanted me to recognize or learn that I could. And so a
I
lot of
also want us
times
to put that same energy in preparing
into
men on how to live
yes,
and take care of themselves and protect and provide on their own, as well as to be
facts,
an asset to a woman and
facts,
protect and provide for women.
absolute
That
facts. But
same energy.
my point to that though, Texas, but my point to that is that there are a lot of men that feel like they're not enough for many different ways, or know that they weren't enough,
That's
if they
another
were doing
part.
some stuff
We
that
ain't
they
necessarily
know
talked about that yet.
for a fact they weren't doing enough for, and they don't want their baby girls to have to experience that. And so they're trying to prepare them to not deal with that. And so they are teaching men also then in the same space that, I mean, teaching their daughters that men aren't enough. And so men ain't gonna be able to do this, and they're not gonna be enough to, take your submission or for you to be submissive to. I know that's a big topic for men and having submissive women or wives, and a lot of these fathers have gave us the roost and told us that, listen, these men ain't trustworthy, they're not enough, and so you need to depend on them for. I need you to make sure that you're capable of not needing them for anything and being on your own, and don't sweat, don't run after no man, don't.
And that's conditioning.
And that's conditioning. And so when we're struggling, when we're talking about that, when we're talking about being enough, when you're breathing that into your daughters, they're going into their adult womanhood already feeling like men ain't gonna be enough because you've already told them that they weren't.
They
And so
heard it straight from the men that they looked up to.
heard it straight from the man's mouth. Okay, I digress. Go ahead on with your point, sis. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you good. And I can't wait for that conversation. But what I'm saying is, if we don't let our children know they matter, if we don't carve out time for them, if we don't make them a priority, first of all, if we don't make them a priority, who's teaching them and molding them? I'll wait on that answer. Feel free to put it in the comments anyway. But if we don't take the time and carve out time for them to show them how to be amazing human beings, to teach them how to work through life's traumas, if we don't take that time, then we're leaving them susceptible to the world. And so we have to make them a priority in that aspect, because it's going to always be something else we can or could or should or would be doing. So if we don't say, I'm not going to do this right now because my child needs me to talk to them, to hold their hand, to do their hair, or whatever it may be, then we're leaving them susceptible to the world. We're showing them that we don't care. And if our parents, who's the people who's in charge and supposed to be taking care of and loving and supporting me, can't do that, then nobody else in the world can. And that is the beginning of trauma that they're going to have to pinpoint and heal from, and try to figure out why they feel like they're not enough when they're in their 40s. Like that's the beginning of that trauma, if we don't show them that we can prioritize them and give them time or love or a conversation or affection or whatever it may be. And the other aspect, what was the second part of that, other than the childhood? Was the men, what was it?
It was changing and
Oh,
shifting.
yes, for that part. Absolutely. I said that in my statement before. It's the right person will push you to want to be your best self. And not saying that we are all perfect and we don't need to change for nobody. Ain't nobody said that, because we all can.
Oh, it's a lie. We all need
with
to
a
change
little
a
growth.
little bit.
Okay, a lot of growth. We all can.
We all
And
need a little glue.
some little duct tape, little trim here or there. You feel me?
Hot glue gun.
We all can. La hot glue gun, yes. Staple gun, whatever gets it back
Whatever
together.
you got on hand on deck.
Whatever you got. Some gorilla glue, okay?
No. Oh no.
We can't use
No.
the gorilla glue.
No.
We know it ain't gonna move.
Do not use gorilla glue to hold yourself together here. We are not.
It ain't gonna break no more. It's gonna be
Listen,
together. We saw that lady's
no,
head.
no,
It's
no.
gonna be
We are
together.
not advocating for people to use Gorilla Glue. We don't need
Okay,
no
we're
more
not
trouble.
advertising Gorilla Glue.
No,
But
no, we not.
healing and therapy, we advertise that. Okay,
Yes,
just
that's
as
that.
good
That's
sometimes
your.
as
That's the
Gorilla
best
Glue.
Gorilla Glue, but not the
Just as
actual
good
glue.
sometimes. But the thing is like when you have the right person that inspires you and motivates you to want to be your best self, that's a beautiful thing, and that's a partnership, and that's what it should be. But the difference of that is shifting your ideals and your mindsets and your goals and what you want and what you don't want based on someone else's wants.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that you can't compromise on certain things, that's not it either, but you will have signs when it's not right, and we aren't for everyone. Find the one that is meant for you where you can still align your life the way you want, and that's different for different people. If I want to be a hobo and that's what I want, and if you don't want to be a hobo, you trying to live on Fifth Avenue, then you not the one for me, because I'm trying to be a hobo. Okay, and you know what I'm saying, and vice versa. So yes.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Why the Fifth Avenue?
I don't know. That's just first thing by my
Oh,
head.
I thought maybe it was something
That's
special
in
about
New
Fifth
York. That's like
Avenue.
Fifth Avenue, New York.
But
That's
Fifth
like
Avenue, I think in New York is like ritzy
right. That's
shops
what I'm
and all that
saying.
stuff.
That's the opposite. That's why I said it. It's the opposite of being a hobo. If I want to live on Fifth Avenue and be fancy, I shouldn't be dating a hobo that want to stay a hobo.
Oh,
That
this is facts.
don't
Okay, I'm sorry.
make
I
sense.
missed something in translation there, but I only had
Oh,
one cup of
no worries.
coffee
Because
today,
somebody else
so
probably missed it too. We just cleared it for Addie Well.
okay, wasn't too much.
But that's
And
my
one cup of
point.
coffee.
Like, if I want to be fancy, I shouldn't be trying to date somebody that's a bum and comfortable being a bum. If, and vice versa. And so that's the thing. In those moments, not saying that that woman cannot, because, we all seen Pretty Woman, can motivate you and make you want to be better and stuff like that, if that's what you want. If that's what you want. Yes. Skid Row
Um,
versus Fifth Avenue.
uh, uh, did you just reference Pretty Woman?
I did.
Look, okay, yeah, that okay. Just I never mind. Go ahead, carry on.
Pretty Woman. That's my movie, y'all. Walking down
I
the
low
street,
key love that movie too.
Pretty Woman.
I don't know what people gonna say about me, and I actually don't care if they judge me. But yes, I love that movie.
I'm I'm with Pretty Woman,
I
okay?
love that movie.
With
Okay,
it.
I'm so with it. When it
With
comes
it.
on, I have to watch it. I
So
have to
now that we done brought it up, it might be on
we
the
done brought
playlist.
it up. And I have a thing for Julia Roberts anyway. I don't know why. I just love me some her.
Oh, also, I need y'all to check out Karma. This is a sidebar, but kind of not a sidebar, because Karma hit some of these points that we talking about right now on
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah.
Ludacris and his daughter, they made a cartoon series called Karma, and this little girl be going through, and she come through conquerors on the other side. Okay,
And I
yes,
think I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen like little bites and bits from it. And somebody had a snippet of it in a group I was in, and I was so sometimes I love us. I love us, y'all. I want y'all to know I love us. I love us so much,
I feel
which is
like a
the whole
button.
reason why I created We Gonna Talk, because I love y'all so much. But sometimes I want to roundhouse y'all.
I felt it. I
I
felt that
don't
coming.
condone violence, but sometimes I want to jump on a table and jump off and Bruce Lee some people, because we just don't be thinking. And somebody was just saying that the show was disgusting, and the snippets they had was
Disgust.
uh,
There's nothing disgusting about that show.
it's disgusting. I can't believe they're putting stuff like this out. And I was like, wait, did I just watch the same thing? And I had to go read the comments, and it was about 200 comments, because I'm like, did I just watch the same thing? Maybe I missed something
I
here.
ain't seen nothing disgusting about
No,
that show.
so what
I
the
thought it was
clips
beautiful.
in the
I
post
teared up a couple times.
was about the issue with the touching of the girl,
I
the
knew
little
it.
girl's
I
hair,
knew it. I
and
knew
that
it.
the questions and how they were reacting. But I'm like, hell, I'm a whole grown adult, and I don't had to slap a hand, okay,
A 2
or five,
or 15.
because people just get real disrespectful and didn't want to touch your hair. And
That was
you
actually one of
know,
the episodes that made me love it even before I seen it, because I saw the
mm,
clip of that episode and I was like, yes, God, for the
it is
children,
so
educate the babies.
it is so true. I mean, before I was natural, I would have people that wanted to touch it because people thought it was a weave. And I was like, I don't have a weave. It's not a weave. It's not a wig. It's my actual hair. And I was on a train. Scary story, but more
Did you get
scary
that
for the
what you
gal.
mix with black and black?
I get that now since I've gone natural. But I was on the train with a weirdo
It's the
one
curl
day, and
pattern, sis.
he was so convinced. This was before I stopped relaxing. He was so convinced I had on a wig, sis. And I was like, because I used to, for those that know me, when I cut my hair after high school, I always wore it like a layer bob. And it did look kind of wiggish because my hair is so fine. And so I was on the train going to school one day. There was a weird guy he on there. He was so convinced I had on a wig. And I was like, it's not a wig. And he was like, I'm gonna pull it.
But also, why is that your business?
When I say the man was weird, he must have been on something, honestly. But he was so convinced I had on a wig, and the man literally reached to try to pull my hair because he thought he was gonna pull it off, and it was a wig. And then I had to brandish my pepper spray, and I was like, "Listen, we gonna do this." And then he got up and went to the other side of the train, and called me a few
This is
names, but
what
he
you
stayed
want,
over there. He
and
stayed
that's
over
what we
there.
want.
That's what we want. But yes, they be trying to touch your hair and asking you all types, and it be everybody. It don't even just necessarily be non-black people. There's lots of people that be like, "What do you do to it? Can I touch it? Is it hard? Is it soft? Like, is it really long? Is it just shrinkage?" You'd be like, "Look, you can ask me questions, but don't touch me." And I thought that
Don't
that was super
touch my
important.
hair.
I mean, Solange made a whole song about it
A
because it's
whole
actually a real
song.
thing. It's a real thing. And so I really do want y'all to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list, but it's something I think I want to watch with the kids because my kids also experience that, which, what is wrong with your hair? And, how come your hair
It's
is like
beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's beautiful because of all the reasons why we're having this conversation,
that? They
of
struggle with
prioritizing your children, of not feeling enough, of wanting to fit in and be normal, of standing up for things that matter to you because you know that you deserve a certain standard of respect. All of these things that we've mentioned today, they cover in episodes of this show, in a cartoon geared towards everybody, but also specifically beautiful brown babies and boys and girls. Because she got a little brother and he just as cute as a button. He an inventor and I love it. And I'm watching it with my son and I'm like, look, babe, he an inventor. You want to be an inventor? And he's like, yeah, I want to build a robot. And I'm like, let's get it, And like that, that type of reinforcement, and that's knowing that you're enough too. Having
Mhm.
representation matters. To see someone else that looks like you, whether it's a cartoon or an actual person that's doing something that you want to do, or that introduces you to something that you may want to try or may want to do because they can do it, so can I. That goes into feeling enough too. If you've never seen anybody that look like you do anything that you want to do, then you're gonna be a little self-conscious doing it. You're not probably gonna feel like you're enough. So that reinforcement and that matters. So I just had to shout that out because it's not even top 10 on Netflix, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 no,
Yeah,
you got to
hell,
watch
if
it.
people gonna be caught talking about the show is disgusting and not accurately
Was
expressing
this
what
a
it's
black or a
about,
white person saying? I just gotta
it
ask.
was it was one of us.
Lord.
I
And
know.
see, that's the brainwashing and the generational curse that we
But
need to
but
talk
but
about.
and see, also when we're talking about that, that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I've had with my kids and why it's so important that I'm dealing with my struggles of not feeling enough because I really need them to know that they are because my kids are different. They don't fit in the traditional black kids box. And so
And what is that?
they
That's just like
you
enough.
know,
What is that?
trust me, there's a
So they
box.
not black enough? Is that what
And
we?
they hear that all the time and they struggle with that, especially my daughter who's a teenager. She
Mhm.
struggles with that a lot, and because she's very different, and I love that about her. I think it's great that she's different. One of the things I wanted was to have little different children
You gotta
that
though.
were going to march to the beat of their own drum, because if you can
Hold
march to
on.
the
Have you
beat of
seen
your
Vivo
own
on
drum,
Netflix?
Look, I have not seen that
Girl,
yet.
Vivo lit.
But you told me about the Vivo. I'm gonna have to
Vivo
put that on
lit.
the list. I'm gonna have to put that on the list
Y'all
for
just check
now.
these shows out. The little brown baby,
So
she a
check
little
them out.
Hispanic baby. Karma, a little black baby. All these brown and
I'm gonna have to
brown
check out
babies
the Vivo. I'm gonna
get
have
their
to check
life.
out the
But I
Vivo. But
said that because you said march to the beat of their own drum, and that's literally her like opening song sequence for her character in particular, and it's all about her marching to the beat of her own drum and
it's
how she's
super important
different
that we teach them how to do that and stay and create their own lane and be comfortable staying
and
in
being
it because
comfortable in that lane.
you
Yes,
know we society has a way of telling us, especially our babies from very young, that this is how you're supposed
gotta
to act,
fit in.
this
You gotta
is
look
how
like
you're supposed
this.
to look,
Gotta
this is
stand
what
like
you're supposed
this.
to like. So when I talk about the aspects of her not fitting into the traditional black box, she's a little black girl that loves and is obsessed with anime and superheroes.
She not alone in that box though. It's a lot
But
more
when
to it
she
than
but when she's talking to her peers, the vast majority of them are like, why do you still like that stuff? Like, why are you talking about that stuff? They want to talk about boys and they want to talk about all these things. And she's interested in liking people. I mean, it's nature. She's getting there. However,
at that
she
age.
likes new things. She wants to learn Japanese. She's an inventor. She writes. She does artwork. And so she listens to rock and roll. She listens to all different types of music. So when she's trying to relate to her peers, they make her feel like it's something wrong with her. And I'd be like, ain't nothing wrong with you. It's something wrong with them thinking it's
Come on,
something wrong with you.
right? You just fine, just
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. And oh wait, we got a comment from the Mister, but it's we delayed, I guess, in live. And so he was saying that he has seen the
Was it
song,
Vivo?
the
Was it the
character.
I marched to the beat of my own drum? Because that's a cut. Vivo got some cuts, y'all. Vivo got some cuts. And I ain't
Y'all
gonna lie,
have
I
to
cry
look up
about
the
every time I watch
soundtrack.
that movie.
Let me pull up the
Vivo
soundtrack.
got some cuts. Yo, I mean, she rapping. It's cold. I march to the beat of my own drum. I think Missy Elliott wrote the song. That's how you know it's fire.
Oh,
Like,
who don't love
fire.
Missy? Who don't love
Fire.
Missy? I love
Yes.
Missy dang on Missy Elliott. Missy, you ever
Fire.
watch this? I want you to know I love you. I just feel like you just don't. These kids don't know just how awesome enough you are. My kids do because I play you in my car. Saki to me is like one of my songs. Tell me like you want to. Ooh, I could take it like a pro. You know. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I can't really sing, but I try to. I feel like I'm still enough. Okay, I'm
You
still enough
are,
to
sis.
in
If
this
you say
moment.
you are, you
So,
absolutely are.
I mean,
That's
I
the
don't
moral
know.
of that's the moral of today. If you say
Right.
you are, then you absolutely are. I think that's the thing about being enough though. Because anybody else, the world, society, whomever, parents, whomever, is gonna say you either not enough or too much. Rarely will they think you just the right fit. Okay. Everybody's
I be all
preference
of
and
that.
bowl of porridge is different. Some people like they hot porridge. Some
I
people
be
like it
too
cold.
much. I
Some
be
people
not
like it
enough
lukewarm.
sometimes. Listen, this is not the Three Little Bears. Did I just?
Yes,
This
you
is
did.
that's
That's how I
not.
broke it down. So everybody like a different bowl of porridge. Okay. You like the porridge that you like and be okay with liking that porridge. Okay. Cause
Well,
look,
sometimes I do want my porridge hot, and sometimes I want it cold.
then that's the enough in that moment you was talking about.
This is tie it in, sis. Sew it
I be
together.
tying it in. So nice little bow form. You know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. If we all really focus on our babies enough to instill these things and confidence within them so they get comfortable feeling enough in their own skin, then we'll create a world of human beings that don't judge other people for being different because we accept our differences and we look. I say I'm weird and that's my favorite part about me because that's the part that stands out and gets done. Like if I was normal, I'd probably have a regular 9 to 5, living my regular life, teeing up in a club somewhere. Okay.
Like
Like
the rest of us.
like everybody. Okay. And
Like
I'm
the
not
rest
knocking
of
no
us.
9 to 5 because you gotta pay the bills. Okay. You got to. But I'm not normal. And I get that and I like that. And I love that about me because that's what makes me different. So everybody got something different about them. Every single person on this earth. So if we are taught to and literally trained to acknowledge those differences, see them, appreciate them, and love our own and move the on, the world would be a better place. But instead, we are trained to do the exact opposite. We see something different and be like, attack, like dead. In every movie, alien come down. The alien could have been coming down like, hey y'all, I got the book. Let me share this with y'all. We'll be like, kill it.
No,
Like,
no, they tried that. I watched all the movies. They tried that. When they came here Independence Day, they didn't necessarily, well, they kind of did, but at first they was like, trying to be cool. They had people on the roof with signs and stuff, and they was trying to welcome the aliens. They was hoping that they brought back Elvis and all of that stuff. And then what the aliens do? They attack them. When you watch when Mars attacked, they
but
attacked us.
listen, Linda, listen,
I'm
Linda.
just trying to tell
Who
you.
telling that story? This is why the perception
Look,
of
you
who's
you
telling
about
the
to
story
take it.
matters.
You
That's
about to
why I
take.
created Melanated in America. Because when you look at movies, who be the bad guy now? Black people. Who be robbing and stealing? Black people. Who be killing
You're
folks?
right.
White
So
people. But see,
basically, so basically, what you saying is that the aliens just
if the
are
aliens told the
they
story,
are
it'd be
victims
from a
of the
different viewpoint.
systemic. They are victims of the systemic oppression. That
Absolutely.
is America. I
Absolutely.
got it.
If you
I got
watch Native, was it Native Son? That movie. But all the joints, right? You look at the Native American movies. They got them like they out here just scalping people. No, them settlers was on that BS. You hear me talking to you? Like they wasn't just out here
That's
scalping
what you
folks.
said.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
I'm not gonna do. Listen, they've been up down here snatching people and everything. The aliens, people be getting abducted all the time. They return them, so maybe you're right. I don't know. It's not like
They
they
just
keep
wanted to kick it
people.
with them for a little minute. You
They
know what
just
I'm
trying to
saying?
learn about us. That's all. Okay,
But
I'm gonna
all
give
I'm
you that
saying
one.
is we attack things that are different. And instead of attacking things that's different, we should embrace our differences because the different people are the ones that's changing the world. If we really pay attention, ain't a millionaire out here that earned that million and it wasn't generationally passed down to them by systemic racism and slavery are different because they did something different. They created something different that people needed and now they rich. Differences is what mold and change and shifts our world and keeps it moving forward. If everything was the same all the time and everybody was the same,
Oh,
we
I
wouldn't
tell my
live here.
babies every day that their differences is what's going to make them successful. I tell them to take
Absolutely.
them things, those ideas, those quirks, and turn them into power and money because um, having that ability to think outside the box is how things get done. So I just keep
Absolutely.
conditioning them to let them know, like, that's your best tool right there. That's going to take you places because when I need
Absolutely.
to figure out a solution to something, or just be creative about something, it means I'm thinking out of the box. I'm thinking out of the restraints of what somebody says I should be thinking and
Mhm.
sticking into and testing the limits and see what works or what doesn't. So I encourage them to definitely be all outside the box. I want them, and more, I'm becoming, because as a parent, you tend to want to protect your kids. So you kind of tell them, well, don't be this way because, people may feel about that. But more and more, I'm like, you know what? Live out loud. Just it. Just do you. Just do you.
Live your best life. That's my thing. When it comes to feeling not enough, it's always because you're living up, you're trying to live up to the highest expectations in your head based on other people or society's enough. If we create our enough and we just live our truths, we just live our best lives and we don't worry about nobody else's opinion. We don't worry if we ain't hurting nobody else and we living in our truth and in our purpose, then that should be enough for us. And if it's not enough for other people, then skip you other people. I'm just gonna be real 100. Miss Natalie B said it because that's how I feel. I don't know if that's how you feel, but
What
that's
she
how I
said.
feel.
She said what
Skip
she said.
you. I'm gonna live my life and I'm gonna be great, and you either gonna be there or you're not. But I'm going to do what I feel is best for me. I'm gonna accept and appreciate all my differences, and I'm gonna determine what's enough. Like Miss Ante said, in that moment, what do I need to be enough for? Because if it's me, then I'll holler at you. If it's these kids, then I'm putting everything else down. If it's my mate when he come, you know what I'm saying? Then all y'all gonna have to move around. but
And I'm
it's
trying to tell
good
you,
enough.
it's freeing. Not only that, it's so freeing. I've been really applying this concept the past like week and a half, especially, and just being like, Friday, I've had to flex the day. I was off. A problem arise at work. I'm off. I'm not on duty.
That ain't my
I
business.
can't be enough for you right now. I'm
I'll let
enough in
you
this
not clock
moment.
here.
I'm self-caring right now. I'm busy. So if it don't get done, it don't get done. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm off. People knew that I was taking the day off. It was on the books. Don't
On the
no, I
calendar.
can't be enough for you right now. Today in this moment, I need to be enough for me. It was some other stuff going on. I was like, no, not gonna worry about that today. I can't be enough
That's
for
not
that
your
today.
bag, sis.
It's not in that moment it wasn't. And I'm
Not your
telling you,
bag.
I have been the least stressed that I've been in a very long time. And just applying that I need to be enough for the moment and that I
Yeah.
need to recognize I'm never, ever, ever going to be enough for all these things at the same time. I only got two hands, unless somebody's trying to give me some clones or a helper monkey or some robots
Pay
or a
for a couple
maid
assistants.
or
I'm good with that. Pay for a
listen,
couple
some
assistants.
interns. If I
I'm
get so
good
if
with
there's
them
an
too.
intern out there that wants to intern for my life for free, I don't run no company just yet. It's coming. But if you
It's on
want
the
to
way.
intern, listen, you want intern, then help
You
me
know,
with
if
my
y'all got some
day.
friends, y'all feel free to slide
Let
over
me
here with me
tell you,
too, because we
because I'm
welcome.
not going to be able to be enough for everything and everyone every time or all the time. And I need to prioritize because trying to be enough all the time was killing me. I was sick. I was tired all the time. Didn't hardly smile as much as I wanted to. I'm impatient, and unapproachable. You every conversation you have, you just stress from trying to be enough. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna be enough for me today. I'm gonna be enough for you in this hour. I'm gonna be enough for this. And that's just it. And
And
what I
it's
can't be
just
enough
that
for
easy.
is
Like
that
it
easy.
conceptually, when you get to thinking about it and breaking it down, it'll become harder. It'll be like, is I can't, but you can. You literally just gotta say, nah,
I
not
can't.
right now.
Like, I'm telling you, it's the fact that we don't allow ourselves to say I can't is what is the reason that we can't. It's when I started saying, like, because, trying to be and saying I can't all the time and being enough for everything was wearing me out. I was tired. So I still was falling short. I, honest to God, was still falling short all the time. And it made me feel worse. But when I started being honest with myself, like, yeah, I can't deal with that today. It's above me now. When my friend was
Don't
like,
let in God
it's
handle
above
all
me.
things above
Hey, listen,
me.
it's above me now. I've literally had to approach a lot of things from that
Yo,
perspective.
I
Just
say that all the time. I be like,
like I can't today. And now
above
I'm
me.
using the power of no. When you start saying no and not feeling guilty, it feels so good. It feels
Life
so good.
changing.
Listen, I look now I be having to be like, I said no, but I just was in the because I be like, you get a no, you get a no, everybody gets a
Everybody,
no.
I ain't doing
Then I have to be
shit.
like, I kind of
Table.
spoke too soon. It wasn't really a no. I just was kind of feeling it in the moment. But you got to be comfortable enough to say the no and to be comfortable enough to admit to yourself you just can't be enough for everything at that time or all the time. And once you give yourself that freedom and that power to recognize that, you're going to feel a lot better and you're going to stop feeling as inadequate. And to the points that have been made, stop trying to reach everybody else's idea or standard of enough. The only enoughs that really matter and standardized wise is my mate, this man up in here, like, because I want to make sure that we're enough for each other, and not to say that I'm doing that to a detriment, but I do care about making sure I'm showing up when necessary. But even sometimes when I can't.
Because that's a
I
partnership.
need to be
Y'all
able
both
to
gotta
be
show
enough.
up.
That's it. That's all. And so you need to be able to admit that you just can't be enough for everybody all the time. And I'm a little bit better. Sometimes, I just don't say nothing at all because I can't be enough. I can't be enough for you right now. I can't. because I'm already, being enough for this, and that today. So just, if you take away anything from the struggle of feeling enough, is take away the fact that you are. It's just really about how you're thinking of yourself as being the enough. You need to recognize that you're not going to be perfect. And I think when we let go of that perfection
There's no
ideology,
such thing
where
as
we have to,
perfect.
you're not going to be perfectly doing things the right way. And sometimes I can do the same thing today and tomorrow and do it differently and did it better the one day than the other, and that's okay too, because maybe in that moment that was enough, that was just enough to get the thing done that what needed to be done. So you need to absolutely give yourself that space, that permission to just say, I can't be enough all the time. I can't. And it's okay. It is literally okay. You're not a failure. You're not a throwaway. You're not a bad person. You're not selfish. And these are all things that I'm sure when we're not feeling enough, we're saying to ourselves. You need to know it doesn't mean that. It just means you're human and you can't be enough all the time.
And we need to learn how to give ourselves grace. Because
Mm.
even in the moments when we analyze and we weren't enough, we just did not show up our best. It was not the top notch game we were on that day. Because that happens, okay?
It
Like,
happens and it's okay.
it's okay. I always say we all take L's, but it's not losses, it's lessons. What happened in that moment? We have to analyze it. We have to acknowledge that we weren't our best. We can't just be like, whoop, did that when you know you didn't do that. Okay. Take a moment to think about, okay, yes, I did not execute this at my height. Why? But why? Y'all know my saying. But why?
Mhm.
Start thinking about that thing. Okay, you know what? This was a factor and this was a factor. The lesson of it. After you but why it, peep the lesson. All right, next time I know that I can't do this before I do this because it's gonna end up like this. So
Yeah.
that way, moving forward, you won't take that lesson again because you didn't learned it already. Next time it's gonna be a win. Okay. So I mean, we're not gonna be perfect, but everything happens for a reason. Things happen in seasons. Okay. And
Mm.
we have to be able to analyze them all so we can get the lessons from them all so that we can be taking mostly wins, because there's still gonna be some L's in there, still gonna be some lessons because each new level come with new lessons. Okay. But we can, when we analyze them and realize the lessons within the things that we go through, then we can be our best selves on the other end. But give yourselves grace. Don't beat yourself up because it didn't work out the way that you thought it should have. Just know that it worked out the way it needed to, and then learn the lesson in
That
that
moment. Oof. We'll say the whole word.
moment.
I think this was a whole good. I hope you all took something from this show tonight. We want you to know that you're validated in those struggles. We're not here to bash you. You're just being human and you're being, productive humans, because only people that are trying to be better and be productive feel like they need to reach some standard. So, I
Mhm.
definitely want to commend y'all for that and just recognizing that you matter too and that you are enough. We love y'all. That's why we do what we do. And we don't want to be, passing down those feelings, like transferring it onto our babies, because they're going to look to feel enough in our reflections of how we see ourselves. They're watching us, they're emulating us every time, all the time. They're listening to us, so they're hearing us even when we think they're not. And so just be
And a
kind.
sidebar on that piece, we talked about how we can leave our children not feeling enough by the things we are saying to ourselves, but literally the things we say to them. We
Fact.
didn't really address that part. The things that we actually say to them can leave them feeling like they're not enough. If we only acknowledge the things that they do wrong instead of the things that they do well, that's going to leave them
Facts.
feeling like they mess up everything or they always doing something bad and they're not enough. We have to be mindful of those things too, because we're reinforcing the negative and we're not reinforcing the positive, even if
Yes.
it's something as small as saying thank you, even if it's
And
something
when
as
they do something well, that you acknowledge it. That's something. So
mhm.
I tell my children, And when I say my children, not all my children have come from my womb,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but they're still mine. And so I tell them all the time. And if you one of my babies, you know I tell you this all the time. I'm proud of you. Great job. I love what you're doing. I like this about you. I love this about you. And I make sure I make a point of that every single time I'm in their presence in some way that I'm reminding them that I see them more than just their mistakes or their faults or anything. And that's super important. And I think that we need
Even
to
when
actually do that.
reprimanding.
Even when reprimanding.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my rules is to um that's super important. I don't stay mad at my kids about anything. I deal with it. I deal with my feelings. Whatever it is, I deal with my feelings and I move along. It has to be something major where I'm going to be a little heated for a little time, but I'm still going to talk to them the same way. If I was going to do certain things, I'm going to still do those things. I'm going to still show up for them like how I showed up before something or anything ever happens. And I always, always, even when they're in trouble, remind them that I love you, I forgive you, and I'm going to get over it. And I don't wallow or sit in that. I don't wallow in that with whatever it is that was upsetting me. And we need to do that too, because when we don't allow our kids to come back from mistakes, they're going to like deteriorate how they feel about themselves. The enough gets bigger. The not enough gets bigger. When they make a mistake, it's because, oh God, I made this mistake, so I can't come back from it. So I'm tainted. I'm not enough. So we have to give them the space to make mistakes, to come back from those mistakes, and see that it's not a reflection of who they are. Because sometimes we do that too. If a kid making mistakes, we can be like, "You made this mistake," and what about all I sacrificed or all I did and all of these things? And that affects them too with feeling how they feel about themselves. They don't want to disappoint you. They don't want to be a failure. And if you are telling them that they failed, they're never going to feel enough. So allow them to make mistakes. That matters too. I want to be able to make mistakes as an adult because I'm going to make them. And we need to give our kids that space, especially a little bit more space than we do as adults. Honestly,
Absolutely. Because
kids
that's when their
do more
brain is developing on how to handle mistakes. Like,
facts.
even with Jaleel, again, he's 3, but I notice how he responds when I respond to certain things. He's learning how to respond. So sometimes it catches me off guard and I may react a certain way. And I see his face. And then I'll go and apologize when I take my deep breaths, because we learn deep breaths. And he'll tell mommy, I'll be like, baby, I'm sorry. Mommy didn't take her deep breaths. And he's like, you didn't take your deep breaths. And I was like, I sure didn't. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take my deep breaths next time. You know,
Be
and
the example.
and then we take our deep breaths together, because that's what I said. When he gets worked up and be like, I'd be like, you need to take your deep breath, and he'd be like,
In
and
through your
so
nose, in through your mouth.
in through the nose, out through the mouth. And so we take our deep breath. So I'll apologize to him if I react, too abruptly, and then we'll have a conversation about what he did, and not just what he did, but how he can do better, and that he's still amazing. He just didn't make the most amazing choice, but he can make a
Mhm.
better choice next time. Every time something happens, I'll reinforce. He goes to the corner, and he's there for however long he's in the corner. Then afterwards, when he wants to come out the corner, whatever he said, I want to talk, because he knows that's what comes next after the corner or after the punishment. We talk. We're gonna talk about it. Do you know what you did? I didn't listen to mommy. Absolutely. I'm not going to tell you what you did. You tell me what you did so that I know you know. And then if you say sorry, I tell him, I say, what's sorry? He say sorry is an action word. Absolutely. What does that mean? That means you see a problem in your behavior and you're going to change it. You're going to do something different. If not, keep your sorry.
Keep
I
it.
tell him that
I
straight
don't
up.
want it. If you ain't gonna make the corrections necessary, I don't want it.
Keep
It's
it.
unnecessary. You don't
And
have to
he 3 and he
apologize.
gonna grow up with this foundation. But I tell him all the time, I say, you are amazing. We do affirmations before bed, and he wants it before nap time too. We do it on TikTok today. You are amazing, but you have to choose to be amazing every second of every day. This is part of the affirmation. Every second of every day you make a choice. You have to choose to be amazing. And then I ask him, what comes with being amazing? Being grateful, being helpful, being loving, being kind, being bop bop. He goes through the list of all the things that makes him amazing. So you have to remember those things in those moments when you decide to do something else. Because there's also consequences to your actions. So if you choose to not listen to mommy or to do whatever you're not supposed to, then you're choosing the corner. You're choosing the punishment or whatever the consequences to that action is. But the same thing if you choose to do the right thing. If you choose to listen and you choose to be amazing, you get consequences to that. They're good. You get high fives or happy dances or whatever we doing at that time. And so to reinforce both is to say that all of your decisions are equally important. To uplift in the moments of reprimanding is you are greater than this mistake. You can try again. I try to tell him all the time, you can try again. Don't get frustrated when you can't do it. Take a deep breath, think clearly. Use your brain, put your thinking caps on. He put it on and press the buttons. Turn that thing on, get the wheels going. Figure out a solution, find the problem and find the answer. Like all of those things help our children to understand that in little ways, whether we know it or not, that they dictate their lives. And that goes back to that little voice in your head that says, I'm not enough. When you know that you control your choices and your actions and you dictate your life, you move differently. And I'm enough because I set the rules. I'm enough because I set what enough is. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's all. That you make the rule, you make the bar, you make the ceiling on what enough is, and not let anybody else set it for you. And once you start taking control of your idea of enough, you're going to feel much more like you're meeting the mark than you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely
And
want
those
you to
no's that Sante was talking about, don't be
listen. Use
afraid.
them damn nose. Them nose. I'm trying to tell you, it feels good. I am
It
such a
feels
yes person. I don't
good.
like to disappoint or not to show up for people. And when I tell you it was killing me and it was really aiding in me not ever feeling enough because I was trying to show up for everybody all the time and I just couldn't. And now it just be like, listen, I love you, but no, I can't
Can't
today.
do it.
Maybe soon I'll be able to. It's not because I don't care about you. I don't want to. I'm just not in that. I don't have it. I don't have it in me. I don't have the ability to be enough for you right now. So
Check back in about July and see what we
listen,
are then.
give me a call then. I'm gonna put you in the book. That you're definitely needing me to show up and be enough. But be enough for yourself. Be kind to yourself, y'all, and you need it. So I also want to encourage our viewers to start sending us again your black businesses.
Yeah.
That's super important. We used to highlight black businesses, and we do care about black businesses. We want to definitely continue to talk about them and shout them out. I see a lot of people on my timeline with wonderful black businesses. So please, if you're interested in having your black business featured
Can I
on,
shout out a black businesses?
you can go ahead.
All right, I got a few shout outs right now, real quick. I'm gonna run them through because I know
Go
we.
ahead.
One, shout out to Feng Shui Boutique on North Avenue. Man, okay, so this sister Black Heaven is a performer. She's a singer. If you all checked out the Kwanzaa program last year, she was a performer there. She can sing, okay. But also she just recently opened up a boutique. It's about 2 months old now, and that thing is gorgeous. Shout out to another black business, Mine Melanated America Productions. So we filmed couple scenes for the show at her spot, and it is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous spot. But outside of that, she got some fire clothes, and it's geared to the plus size sisters. So if there is any full figured plus size women, y'all need to check out Feng Shui Boutique on North Avenue. Okay, check her out. Just dope. The clothes is dope. Her energy is dope. The space is beautiful. She did her thing with decorating that joint, and it's great. I mean, accessories and everything. She even got a little rack for the skinny sisters. Okay, so y'all go check her out. For sure. Check out Melanated America coming soon. Show will be dropping 2022. And if you need anything produced, podcast editing, videos, promotional videos, anything like that, y'all holler at Melanated America. And got one more. the Healing Academy. It's a nonprofit, not a business necessarily. But this just in, ladies and gentlemen, the tickets for the Healing Gala December 11th, 6 to 9 p.m. is now on sale.
Whoop,
Yes,
whoop.
go to wehealheal.org. Check out the events and programming page. Click on the link. Get your tickets. December 11th, Healing Gala Art Auction. We'll be doing awards. We got 5 DJ live performances, music. Just it's gonna be really, really dope, y'all. So tickets are now on sale. They are going to go fast. We're only doing 100 people. So tickets are gonna zoom out the door. So y'all go get those tickets. We
Be looking for the link. We're gonna be resharing the link where you
Yeah.
can get those tickets. And so absolutely, y'all. We want y'all to go. We're gonna make sure we share that. Excuse me. And so y'all get y'all tickets and show up for the healing. Said the healing
The
gala.
Healing Gala. It's our first
I love
annual gala and
it.
art auction.
Yes. You know, I still want my Dion original.
Yes. And I still got your Healing Academy shirt sitting right here. But Dion does have a piece that's in the auction, and I will also be donating 2 pieces of photography, so you can have a Natalie Battles exclusive. This is the first time
So
ever that
so
I'm selling my
I
photography.
need a Natalie Battles exclusive and I need a Dion Victoria original.
You can do both, sis.
Both.
You can do both.
Are these raffles? Who I gotta slide a little money under the table to pull
So
my
these are actually so under the table. These are actually auctions. So auction items, we're gonna have silent auction items and live auction items. So we are looking for sponsors to donate. We have donation packages. I can also shoot you the sponsorship letter if you want to share that. But we're looking for sponsors. We're looking for people to donate items and services for our silent auction. All proceeds go to the Healing Academy non-for-profit organization, where we will be building schools and community centers and some fab programming for adults and youth coming really, really soon. We've already started doing programming, but the school and the actual physical building location will be coming soon, hopefully with everybody's wonderful donations. We're doing really dope work in the community, and we hope to continue to do that with a new building soon. But we
that.
absolutely will continue that regardless.
I just love that. We have to definitely be the change we want to see. And so when I tell you that's my goal, that's my ultimate mission, is because there are certain things that I want to be a part of or staple in our community, and it just isn't there. I'm like, well, we need to make sure it is. And that's how We Gon Talk came to be, is that we're talking about these generational traumas that we're experiencing and how they become curses in our communities, and we're healing past them, we're talking through them. Like, the healing process takes time, but even if we could just get the conversation started, that's what I want to see. I want to see the conversation started. So yes, be looking out for all of that dope stuff. I also want to announce next week's topic. So since we talked about Netflix and all the wonderful shows, I recently discovered by recommendation, Sex, Love, and Goop.
Sex, love, and what now?
Sex, Love, and Goop.
Goop,
Goop.
like OOP, goop.
OP. Not OPP, other people's property, but OOP. GOOP. Goop.
GOOP.
Sex,
That's what I thought you
Love,
said.
and
Now,
Goop.
what is that about?
So it is about intimacy. And it is such an amazing show. I am
It's
not done
amazing.
with it.
Okay, an amazing show.
But also in just talking to many of my co-eds, so that's even male and female, there's always a very different interpretation of intimacy. And it's why we don't have intimacy. And because we don't have intimacy, I know we've talked about, making love and all of that stuff, and had talks about intimacy before. But watching this show was very great. It has a quiz that they have their participants take with their partners, where they learn that usually you attract the person that's opposite of you sexually
Mm,
in your sexuality. So it's a quiz, it breaks down
that's
the parts
interesting.
of your sexuality and how you communicate sexuality with one another or interpret it, and it breaks it down from percentages. So even Robert and I did this quiz, and one of the things it says is usually your lowest number is your partner's highest number, and it's true.
Was it true?
So true.
Opposites attract, they say.
But it's very interesting watching it because you really learn a lot. So I'm only about halfway through.
How many
And
episodes?
I'm not sure how many episodes exactly. I will get back to that, but it's just
Okay,
a very
I'll search it.
eye-opening, and I'm very vocal about sexuality. I think sexuality is really important, and I think that it's super important. It's a generational curse, especially for women. We're not allowed to have a real strong sense of sexuality. It's a taboo thing for women, and I think it's actually taboo for men. And I think most men don't understand their, not to say if they're not sure what orientation they have, but sexuality is much more than orientation. It's also how you perceive sex and how you perceive it and communicate it, right? And so what we think or what our idea of what it means to have good sex or good intercourse or intimacy, because they're different, is always usually not really healthy or very ill informed with consideration for the other person. And
And
so
you
this,
know what?
what, go
On
ahead.
Friday, because Free Your Mind Fridays has started back. And so on Friday, we were talking to Dot or Dot Visions, the artist, and he brought up a point about basically intimacy. He played one of his songs, and it was about talking. And he like, talk to me, tell me everything I want to know. You know, open up your heart. Basically, that's what the song was about. And I was like, this is about intimacy. This is about like real intimacy. I said, we grown. We can do a lot of things. Okay. But it's real hard to open up and tell people really how you feel and hit them deep places in your heart and really open it up and be vulnerable. I said that's real intimacy.
So people are more comfortable with taking off their clothes and being physically naked than actually being
Emotionally
vulnerable,
naked.
which is
Yeah.
the epitome of nakedness.
Mm-hmm.
It takes so much more courage to be you out in the open, you're good, you're bad, you're ugly with somebody than it does for you to take off your clothes and show your stretch marks or your, your kangaroo pouch or, any other body part that you feel doesn't meet the enough standard.
Right. There
Right.
go back to enough.
Back to the enough standard. But it's still, even with those insecurities, easier for people to take off their clothes and show those imperfections than your spiritual imperfections, which is a big part of intimacy. One of the things for me that are super high on the intimacy scale is flirting. I love to flirt, and that's being intimate. And I'm when I say flirt, I want to flirt with my mate. Okay, I'm not talking about with other
Other
people.
people,
I'm talking
yeah.
about with this man that lives in this here house with me.
You
But I
know what I
flirt with
used to
him all the
do?
time.
I like role play. I ain't gonna lie to you. I
That's
want to go
intimacy.
out and act like I don't know you, and you better come with some fire and make it look what you
All the time. Like, if not even just that, just role play, even if you're not outside, and just do things. So I'm like, when I tell you that I care a whole lot about that, I care a whole lot about that because that having intimacy is a healing spot. It's a stress reliever. We need to have it to feel acceptance and love. And if you can get that within your partnerships with people, you thrive. You're just a better person, on both sides. Like, not just happy wife, happy life, but happy spouse, happy house. And so
absolutely.
having those intimacy health goals is super important. And this show, because I care a lot about this. When I say I care a lot about intimacy and physical intimacy, like, I'm the friend that people call when they need to know how to get something started, or this is an issue,
You that
or
friend.
I have, and Listen, I before pre-COVID, we did field trips.
Come
It was
on,
like,
field trips.
look, hey, we're gonna go and have dinner, and then
Where
we're
do I turn in
all
my permission slip?
look, and then after we're gonna go eat, we're going to have a field trip to the store. We're gonna go to the store and get things. And then I literally be in there like, this is, and I don't even sell this stuff. So I just be helping people like, you want this because if you do this, it's gonna help. And then you said you okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. You struggle with this part, or and if it's not physical, just I feel like this and that and the third. Well, did you try this or did you try this? Or have you tried that? And this is stuff that I try to also implement in my own
You know what?
household.
After this show for next week, I'm gonna check this show out so I can be prepared for
Okay.
for
We're going to
class
talk
being
about
accepted.
intimacy it is in a whole, but
But I
I
also want to watch
really
this
do
show.
think this show is when I tell, and I'll send the link.
But we need to
Um,
have a conversation maybe the next show. I don't know if you got it all planned out yet, but the next show, because I was thinking about this actually, if not yesterday, day before yesterday. There's a basically kind of like a sexologist type of young woman who works with these type of things, who we were gonna have on the show once before. And so I think that would be great because she works in that department. So maybe a little part 1 and 2 type of situation.
I would love a part two where she comes on and just shares her. I would love next week to have real people that feel comfortable sharing what their perceptions
Y'all
of
come on in the room.
intimacy is. So I would love it that if you're comfortable talking about your, intimacy intellect, I would love to have you come on and share that and what
Ooh,
you believe that it
intimacy
is. I
intellect.
mean,
Okay.
I just threw that out there. I don't know if it'll,
Intimacy
grow some
intellect.
wings, but I really do think like when we have emotional intelligence, I think we need to have intimacy intelligence too, because it really is different. And this show, taking this quiz was very funny. And my sister-in-law is actually the person, so shout out to her because I had been scrolling past it, was like, I'm gonna watch it, but it wasn't
I
high on my
haven't even
list of
seen
things to
that
watch.
on the screen,
But
but
see,
I
I
also
watched
have not been tapped
it.
in because I've been watching a lot of kids shows. That was the conversation I had
And
with
so,
your middleweight.
Netflix learns what your patterns are. So it had kept telling me, like, suggesting this. Hey, we should just, it was like
That's
always the
because you was
first
watching.
thing.
What was it? Sex and what
And don't
was
bring
it?
me to sex life. Sex
Yeah,
life.
Sex Life. That's what it
But
was.
I watched that and other things. Like I've
And
watched Sex
other things.
Ed. I just
There's
really care
a
a lot about
documentary
that stuff.
about sex around the world. I watched that. That was pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
I've watched that too. So that's probably too why Netflix like, Heifer, you want to watch this stuff because you don't watch everything else. Like, why are you scrolling past? You know this, you interested.
You know
Stop
you
a minute.
gonna click this link.
You wants to know. And then my sister-in-law just kind of gave me the push and was like, you need to watch it today. It was really good. And then she shared with me the link to take the quiz. And then I took the quiz a few times and just to make sure I had the right reading. And then I had Robert, he took it and he ended up having to take it a second time because the first time he took it, he forgot to share with me his results. He just read it. It was like, I was like, sir, what were your results? And he was like, oh, well, shoot, I got this one at the top. I said, no, I needed all the results because I'm curious. So when we went through the whole his results versus my results, we were literally flipped. So like
Wow.
literally flipped. So our middle things were almost the same, but our highs and lows were like literally the opposite,
So
which
y'all
is
literally meet in the middle.
like facts. So it was very, very interesting. And what I like about this show is literally these are real couples. They're exploring different things about their intimacy, comfort zones, and levels, and you get to watch all of that. And you're literally seeing them get pushed into each other's boundaries so that they can meet each other where they at. And so
Okay.
many women have a lot of things came up where I was like, we need to talk about it. Like why women may feel less intimate because the way we process intimacy, as some of us, not all of us, there was a couple where the wife was expressing that it's hard for her to feel intimate because she feels like she's responsible for her mate. And with them having kids, it's too much for her. She feels like she has a third child and she doesn't like that because he doesn't help her in the way she needs to, because she's pretty much the person
And
that
that
is doing
leads to
everything.
intimacy.
Oh, that led
Because
to, so
mental
not
intimacy is the thing. Like if I'm not
exactly.
stimulated in my mind first, then we just basically kicking it. Because
For her, it
what are
was
we
just
doing?
that I feel alone and that makes me not attracted to you and I don't want to. And so that was an issue for her. But he also had intimacy issues too with her that was kind of turning them off. So they were a sexless marriage. They were not having intercourse. And so it really makes you
Having
go
these
through the
conversations
motions.
is important too. Just being
It's
raw and real
super
with each other, because
important.
it'll just continue if you never say anything.
So I am going to be in preparation for this show for next week. I'm going to be sharing some things on the page. I'm also hoping to create an anonymous survey, so people that will be willing to do the anonymous survey, just asking questions, because I really want to see percentages. I want to see how many women are to this side or that side, or non-binary people to this side, just people. I want to see where y'all fall at when it comes to intimacy. But it's a really interesting show. I have not finished it as of yet, but I'm in it. I'm in it now. We were watching it together and we did this quiz, and now I'm just super even more peaked. So this is like my second love, outside of generational trauma and curses, is having healthy intimacy, having
So
healthy
she is
sexuality.
a therapist. She's gonna be a family therapist working on
Okay.
family generational issues, but she's also gonna be a sex therapist. She's going to join the therapist team with uh Mr. Milton and Miss Renee. Okay, Gino and Renee, she gonna be the third one. She gonna be the sex
I'm
therapist.
trying to, I'm trying to be of many things. I'm trying to be enough for what is needed for me to be enough in that moment.
In that moment. In that moment.
Yeah. But yes, next show is going to be all about understanding intimacy and communicating
Oh, I'm
intimacy. If you
excited.
have
I hope
not
y'all excited.
watched
'Cause
it,
I'm excited.
and I like doing these shows because sometimes we talk about really heavy stuff. So much so that sometimes, you got to be in a certain mind space to receive it. So I get that. And so when we talk about generational curses, not all of them fall into that heavy and make you, walk away feeling as such. Some of it is just for reflection. And so you can have more fun and not and understand what you need to do to get to that
You
fun, and
just
how
gotta be open.
you gotta be open. So we gonna talk about this. Oh,
Oh,
we
we
gonna
gonna talk
talk
about
next
it.
week.
Oh, we gonna
Yes.
talk
So
about
if you are interested and feel comfortable sharing your views of intimacy, now you don't have to get too personal. You know that we ain't expecting the
it.
details
Unless you want to.
necessarily.
It's a safe
Unless you're
space.
comfortable, it's a safe space, but we recognize it's a public forum. It is public. But if you just want to talk about how you believe intimacy to be, and what it is and what you look for in intimacy, and sharing that and willing to have a conversation about it on this platform, hit me up. Let me know. I want to hear from you. Please let us know. Okay. Okay. I'm here. We here.
Yes.
And so on that note, we will see y'all next week. Good night, y'all. Good night, people.